You are listening to the USDN on the DFPN.
It's a trap!
What is up, everybody, and welcome to the United States Department of Nerds, where we are for the people, by the people, and of the people. And tonight, we welcome back two friends of the podcast and creators we've had the pleasure of following for quite some time now. Back in December of 2025, Kyle and Aaron joined us to discuss ZombieCON Volume 1 and their journey through independent filmmaking. Since then, they've continued pushing the boundaries of indie horror through Big Squid Productions and are now helping launch a new era of mobile-first horror storytelling with Autonomous. What begins as a simple ride home inside of a driverless vehicle quickly descends into a nightmare where technology becomes the threat and escape may be impossible. But tonight isn't just about Autonomous, it's about growth, lessons learned since ZombieCon, the realities of independent filmmaking, and what it takes to keep building original horror projects in an increasingly competitive industry. Ladies and gentlemen, the Council of Nerds is now in session. Please welcome back to the podcast, Kyle and Aaron. Welcome back, y'all.
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you so much for having us back.
Thank you so much. You got the best intros, I think, on the entire internet.
Oh, yeah.
Thank
that.
you. I do
Amazing.
appreciate that. I'm pretty sure my team appreciates that as well. How have y'all been? I mean, you popped the baby and you were right back to it. And I can't imagine like just like I'm gonna have a baby. I'm like, oh, and we're gonna go make another movie. Like, how has that whole journey been of like having the baby and then like immediately jumping right back into doing another movie?
Yeah, I gotta say, luckily, I feel like we've been parents for a long time, not just with our wonderful dog here, Mr. Whipples, who is joining us, but with ZombieCon Vol 1, it has been our baby for over a decade and a very, beautiful long childhood and growth that we have been developing that and seeing that launch at the same time as having our first child, Anya, our baby girl. It was a very busy time, but running a couple businesses before ZombieCon and then the process of bringing ZombieCon to life and launching it really helped prepare us a lot for kind of the stress and excitement and, like I say, organized chaos that is juggling all of these things. A lot of lessons learned still, but that really helped prepare us.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I'd say that, having a child is probably the best thing any indie filmmaker can do for upping your threshold of stress toleration. Although when it comes to the actual filming part, it is best to have grandparent support and a lot of grandparent support because, I would not feel comfortable taking her onto an indie film set. I probably wouldn't feel comfortable taking her onto a big budget film set right now with all the atmosphere and smoke machines and lights pulsing everywhere.
Yeah.
And, it gets a little hairy. So grandparent support, but having her has been obviously an absolute blessing. And I don't know, it's been weirdly very cathartic to have something to care so much about that is like, it's not just me working on a movie with Erin, like in a house where half the people think we're probably crazy after 10 years of working on it. Here, it's like, I've got to take care of my child. Everyone's like, Oh, absolutely. It's like the red carpet's rolled out. Go do your thing. Like it's all good. Like everyone understands it, which is nice. Nice for a change.
I can imagine. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
it is very funny too, having a 15-month-old around the studio as well, because it's not like she's on our sets, but she comes up in Dada's office and she wants to see what he's working on, so she gets exposed to some of the stuff. We're not doing screen time with her, but she has started very little here and there, seeing
the
some
curiosity.
stuff. Exactly, and her main thing that she loves right now is this giant. We're going to call her the Big Bad from a movie that we'll be releasing. It's watching. We're still finishing the very tail end of post-production because we got sidelined with Autonomous, an amazing distraction. But yeah, she likes looking and is very curious about the Big Bad, this kind of statue-esque creature, I will say, that is in the corner of the office. And she's not scared of her yet, which is great.
Yeah, we tried to describe it as just a big doll.
She's just a friendly big doll. That's Stella.
Yeah. That's so awesome. Like it's like if Rob Zombie and Cheryl Moon had, children at their house and all the stuff that he has there, and I was making this comparison the other day in my head. I'm like, is there a lot of there's not a lot of couples out there that are making horror movies together outside of that. I can think of Rob and Cheryl. Her name's Cheryl, right? Cheryl Moon or something like that.
I believe so. I'm notoriously terrible with names. Faces.
Same.
I am 100% perfect on names. Just for some reason, it turns into like garbledygunk in my brain. But faces, I'm awesome with.
Yeah, I will recognize the face, be like, hey. And my wife will be like, who's that? I'm like, I don't know. All right, I just recognize their face.
Yeah, that's why you need those Meta glasses. Meta, who is that?
There you go. Maybe someday I'll get those in the budget. But looking back now, with all the success that ZombieCon has had, and still to this day, something ZombieCon related rolls across my feed, which I absolutely love to see. What was that overall response, you think, to ZombieCon from audiences in the horror community alike? Because like I said, not a day goes by that ZombieCon doesn't roll across my screen.
Sorry for that.
Yeah, that makes
that is absolutely nothing to apologize for. It is amazing to see, because it was such a fun movie and such a good time that let it every day. Like this shirt's in rotation, so
yes.
I know we said before we went live, but I have to say for the audience, you're rocking that shirt. It makes me so happy to see it as well.
I rock them both. I got them both, so I rock them both. But
with ZombieCon, I would say one of the things that kept coming back over and over again in the reviews, and that meant the most to me, and so it stood out the most, is hearing how much heart people felt and knew was put into it just by watching it, and not even knowing anything about the making of journey, and it taking just about a decade of our lives and blood, sweat, and tears. But hearing that really translated, and that no matter if they, loved really more the horror aspects or were really more into the cosplay and anime, because it was funny, this film got reviewed by so many different communities and embraced by so many. People were pointing out different things, but over and over again, people were saying the amount of heart that was put into it.
And see, I thought you were going to say, I loved hearing about how great Erin Áine was as Claire and the incredible acting.
Well, I thought that went without mentioning. I mean, come on now.
Anybody willing to drench themselves in that much fake blood for the love of the game has all my respect. Because I can't imagine how long it took just to wash all that off.
Yeah, it was a lot when you would know that the set day was over, the paperwork's over. I'm running around like a producer doing 6,000 different things. And then at the very, very end comes all right, now I got to go shower and dry and all of that. And it's just going to be a whole nother experience of looking down, and the bathtub is caked like Carrie style and red blood. It was its own thing that got normal after a while, though. Honestly, it was a part of the routine.
At the end of the day, you all that's done, you go to scratch your ear or something, you're like, damn, there's still blood.
Exactly.
But since your last appearance, how have there been any major changes in how you're approaching independent filmmaking, storytelling, or the production side of things? I imagine your world's kind of like mine, where if I learn something new, a new trick, I'll figure out like one of my programs can do something else that I didn't know it could do. So I get all excited, and then I realize like, oh, it's not that great, but it's still kind of cool that it's there. One of those types of features that gets added. But how has that changed for y'all and y'all's approach to things?
Yeah, that is, I mean, it's been it's like since we started with short films and then to like mini web series, and then obviously on to ZombieCon, and into the future with music videos and this feature film that Erin mentioned earlier, and now autonomous, of course. Each project, I feel like you learn 1 to 10 new really critical things, whether it's the best placement for a lav, the best way to frame a shot from a weird angle, how best to contort yourself in this specific example with autonomous into the front seat of a car as a 6'2", 250-pound man, and trying to make yourself invisible from all of the reflections around you with a camera and a lens. You're always learning something new. And just trying to then use all that new information in concert with everything that, the foundation that you built to attack each project in succession. And I found it both makes things easier, allows you to become a little more ambitious, and definitely more confident with each and every project, because you're more firmed with what you've known in theory to be true. But since you've been able to put it into practice, you've been able to see where the slight flaws are, where you can adjust and kind of make it fit for your routine and best fit for kind of our small, weird set. So it's just a constant evolution. I don't think it'll ever stop, to be honest.
Learning on the go experience is just, like you were saying, so much better than in theory. I mean, that is the way where it cements, it gels. And I would say for both of us, the number one thing I recognized after shooting Autonomous versus ZombieCon was the amount of organization that both of us really were prioritizing organization in every aspect of the things that we were responsible for. And it just was something drilled into us, learning wise after ZombieCon, and really, really helped. Just like nitty gritty, the things that either, small and big, it just really helps.
Yeah, absolutely.
So for those who may have missed your first appearance, and I don't know how deep you get on other podcasts, but for those who missed your first visit, who are Kyle and Erin, and what is Big Squid?
Oh, all right. Let me try and that's a great question. Let me try and make it as brief as possible.
I can start. Yeah. Crazy cinephile, an anime lover who've decided, instead of taking many more better financial paths, to follow the kid dream of being an artist, and has traveled that road as a journeyman, and sometimes succeeded, and more than often than not failed, especially in the beginning.
All right. I like this method of description. So from kind of outside perspective summary, I would say child actress, somewhat semi-successful, been on a ton of big projects, big sets, and got burned out at the ripe old age of like 22, and decided that producing and having a hand in choosing my own projects was definitely the way I wanted to go, versus sitting around and endless auditioning, waiting for things to happen. So decided to go the producing route, partnered with my then boyfriend, then turned fiance, then turned husband, and now father of my child. And here we are, I would say roughly 15 years into our filmmaking journey, and got a couple projects under our belt, the biggest ones so far being ZombieCon, and the most exciting currently for Screamify, this MicroHorror at the edge of verticals. And like here we are in the best place in the world with you, the chairman, in this awesome podcast. So life is pretty good.
Yeah.
I always get excited when y'all hit me up. I know if y'all are hitting me up, it's going to be something amazing.
And just to round out the answer there, Big Squid is the package that holds all of our personalities and all of the friends that we've collected along the way. You know,
All the
people start
friends.
as crew. Exactly. People start as crew, they start as actors, and we're huge on loyalty. And we kind of build a family atmosphere on set. And we've just been really blessed with the people that we've gotten an opportunity to work with, have all been truly genuinely talented, both in what they're doing and what they're bringing to the table, while simultaneously being amazing human beings. And just created like a little filmmaking family that's actually, it grew recently with Autonomous, because we had to find all new people, mostly new people here in Atlanta. And we had a few recurring behind the scenes roles, Chad Tolson being a notable one, and Nicole McCauley, who played Mama Bear in ZombieCon.
And she's a local now with y'all, right? I think we had talked about that last time, because she's such a fantastic actress and person.
Oh, she's amazing. She's amazing and such a wonderful human being too. Yeah. This is our Big Squid East Coast chapter.
Yeah, that's right.
That we're in. So we still have our Los Angeles and our West Coast, but we were building out the East Coast. And like Kyle said, starting with some of our family that we already worked with before, who are already over here, and a couple other friends and, you know, colleagues that were already based close to here that then we could actually rope into our project. So it's just been building in the best way possible. I mean, I can't even say how great our crew and cast was on Autonomous. I mean, just like with ZombieCon, it's when you're working, all of you, putting everything you have into every day, and the energy is right, it just makes for not only the best work, but you end the day feeling good. And that's just as important as the work being good.
100%. Well said.
Thank you.
I like it. And a perfect answer for it too. You know, I always ask people that question, and they get that same look in their eye every single time. And I'm not looking for like this big, huge, like, oh, I'm, you know, this and this. I'm like, I love a wing dancer. Just wing it. Throw the first thing that comes to your mind. And that's always the best answers in my eyes. Is I don't share questions like people, like I've seen people say that before, like, oh, I just give them the questions beforehand. I'm like, no, I want genuine stories. And you get
I always decline.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want to know.
Offer. I've had one person ask, and the answer was like, no. I'm like, you're going to have to respect my journalistic integrity on this one, because I'm not going to throw something from left field. We're talking about a project. We're talking about the project. And I'm not going to like left field you with something that I heard off the internet. I would, you know, we don't get down like that. So, but before we dive into Autonomous, what would you say has been the biggest accomplishment or milestone for both of you since your last appearance? Outside of the baby, of course, you can't say the baby.
All right. Other than the baby, I'm pretty pumped. I think we can officially say it. It's not been released yet. But ZombieCon did get released in the UK, which we've been super excited about.
I've seen that. Congratulations. That's so awesome.
Thank you so much. We're very excited about that. But upcoming as well, it's going to be released in Japan officially.
Let's go. I love that. That's such a cool market too, because they're big on horror. Like some of the coolest, most unique horror comes out of Japan and out Korea too. I can throw Korea in that same bucket as well. So that is so awesome. That it's just slowly making its way across the world, and I'm pumped. I'm happy for y'all. That's amazing.
That was always kind of my, like, not necessarily end goal with ZombieCon, because obviously the end goal with ZombieCon is to continue the story. But in terms of a distribution angle, I was really hoping that it found its way over to Japan, and the folks over there were able to enjoy it from their point of view, simply because so many things that were created in Japan, mainly anime in this regard, have shaped me as an artist and shaped the story of ZombieCon in many ways. It's just an exciting thing to be able to share in some small way. You know, I'm sorry, I'm being attacked by my dog. He's coming at me.
He's pumped. He's pumped. You can feel the energy.
Like he's excited too.
Because I would be remiss too if I didn't say, I don't know if it's like the biggest achievement, which is why I didn't come first to mind, but the biggest milestone, other than the birth of Anya and everything, has been the shoot for Autonomous and
partnering with Screamify.
Yeah.
Which is
for it.
an amazing. I mean, the fact that they're basically building an entire company and brand off of
Yeah.
supporting indie artists and focusing on indie filmmaking and indie horror, especially, obviously, but bringing indie artists to the forefront. You know, they're a successful company. They probably
Yeah.
could hire people with a lot of credits and people.
And y'all
that
are
might
the
bring
first.
more.
Y'all are the
Yeah.
first.
We
We're
were in
right
the-
up there on the first wave.
Yeah, we were in the first wave of their kind of, I guess,
Yeah.
new projects, or I guess Screamify originals
Yeah.
that they were putting together. And we were so honored. And, you know, being in the industry for as long as we have, you know, we've been sold a lot of tall tales and, yeah, this project will come together, or we'll get this money together with this. And it usually comes from people who are meaning very well, but everything in this industry is a bit of a crapshoot. And well, it's also it's sincerely difficult to get financing together for any project, big, small, middle-sized, anywhere in between. Getting the money on board is always the most difficult part. You can always find a group of very talented people to see the vision through, but at the end of the day, everyone's got to eat. And Screamify put its money where its mouth was, or I should say where its scream was.
And not just for autonomous, but also with the behind the screams. I don't know if we've talked about this, but the docu-series that they made of us making autonomous.
They have been releasing the BTS of it, and like I've enjoyed seeing it. It's been so cool. And we were talking about a little bit beforehand, and we'll get to it a little later in the interview about that. But it was just so cool. I always enjoy BTS stuff. To me, you just get how like it was literally your garage. No spoilers, but literally in your garage downstairs, you know, like y'all were filming parts of this movie, which is so cool.
Well, I'll tell you, getting that car into the garage and parking it horizontally to give us enough room to work around it, because it's a 2-car garage. But it's not, you know, garages they're not warehouses, right? Usually you do something like this in a warehouse, you'd have plenty of room to maneuver around it. But luckily enough, I measured out the entire garage ahead of time. Of course, I didn't want to take a chance like, oh yeah, we'll get it in there. So as Aaron was saying previously, you learn that, you know, planning details ahead of time, much better than winging it in regards to avoiding catastrophic problems. Yeah. So I'd measured out the garage. I had the specs for the car, measured that out, you know, was able to get in there with a laser ruler and make sure that we were going to have enough room by moving some stuff out of the garage and get it fitted in there perfectly, and then have enough room on either side to navigate with the blue screen and all the lights, because we did employ a poor man's process. That's the stuff that you saw in the garage.
But it was so cool though, because I mean, it's not a lot and it gets the job done. And that's what we go for at the end of the day.
Lean and mean.
It looks like so much stuff. It looks like this huge, massive, like when you see it, the final product, it looked like it was this just big, massive project that was taking place. And no, it was literally mom and dad's garage, which is the coolest thing ever.
It really comes down to lighting, right? And just making sure that you employ all of those elements in a way that will hopefully be invisible to anyone watching. And then tying that together with real sets. Like we had one of the greatest sets that we had for this, which was a learning experience for me, was an awesome experience, I think, for the entire cast and crew. We shot out on a road, I think it's called Crook Creek Road, out in Coweta County, Georgia. And this road was actually it's known as the Walking Dead Road, because almost all of the scenes that you see in The Walking Dead of them walking on a 2-lane road with double yellow lines in the middle and woods on either side. Sometimes they've loaded it up with cars, zombies. Sometimes they've had it bare and just had characters walking on it. That's the road that they've used, mainly because functionally,
the sit is there just right down the road.
Yeah, it was about a 2-hour drive out there. Yeah. So would have obviously loved for it to be closer, but unfortunately, and it's both awesome that we found this thing and we're lucky enough to be in an area where this was available. But it was the only road that I could find within like a geographical 200-mile radius, apart from renting out private property and getting a private driveway, has the problem of now we would need to lay down chalk painted or spray paint painted yellow lines to give it that road feel, that had a forest on either side, was a proper road. And the most important thing was that you didn't have buildings through the tree line that would be illuminating basically areas that you didn't want to be illuminated. And it also had 2 turnoffs at the end. So there's a small hill on one side that hid the adjoining road, and on the back side there was a small bend in the road which hid that road as well. So it allowed you to shoot basically, you know, wherever you wanted and get a clean shot, which was obviously very helpful when you're running and gunning. You won't be able to spin the camera around.
It was so creepy out there too. It really was. Obviously, we were late at night, and when all the lights were off, which happened several, times, it's pitch black, and you just hear nothing but woods, and maybe 1 or 2 crew rustling around a little bit, shuffling nervously. Like it was creepy. It really helped acting wise to get into the mode.
And our actor for our creature was actually a friend of mine from college who had taken one, acting class in college, and I reached out. I actually happen to know 2 guys who are, 6'8" plus, and I wanted the monster to be super big and intimidating.
Yeah.
And I reached out to
both
boy. Yeah. And I was like, hey, so filming a new project here and looking for anyone over 6'8" to play a monster. He immediately responded. He's like, I'm your guy. I'm in. And he had such a great attitude. He was so game for it because, of course, he had to have these giant latex sleeves on with hands, and he had a mask on. It was like a very ornate costume, especially for a first-time actor. And he was such a good sport about it. He never complained about getting too hot, even though it was freezing out. Right? Yeah. When you're completely covered in latex, it gets a little bit steamy in there.
That stuff don't breathe very well.
No, not at all. And he was a total trooper. And really elevated, I think, our monster to the level that we wanted it to be at. And having there's no real replacement for that physical size, right? Like, especially when you see him standing next to the car and he's like 3 feet taller than the top of the car. It's like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
I was like, that's a big boy.
I noticed like just how large and imposing he was, the creature was, when really you're sandwiched in that car, as my character Amy was. I'm like looking up, and all I see is this entire creature filling
just a
the back
massive void of a human.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And he was so sweet too, because those gloves were absolutely insane. And after one
those
of the
were creepy as hell.
Actually, you should get into the gloves. This is a cooler story.
So I was looking for a solution for the hands. The script called for them to be, alien-ish, obviously not human. And I had gone through a number of iterations to see what it was that I could do with it. Talked to a number of makeup artists. Unfortunately, our makeup artist on ZombieCon is not local here, and he had a couple of things going on. He couldn't make it out. So I had to find a solution that was going to be rugged enough to endure the rigors of production, fast enough to apply, that we could do it on that road. So that kind of struck out regular makeup and trying to build out the hands off of his actual hands, just because that process can take, 3-5 hours. I heard different quotes from different makeup artists in regards to the length of time that applying the hands would be. And then, of course, using them functionally runs the risk of the makeup being slightly destroyed or damaged. So then you're doing touch-ups in between the shots. And we just didn't have the size of a production that would allow for that type of time. And I was looking for these latex gloves. I think they're not latex. They're actually silicone, extremely well made. I can't remember if it was Immortal masks or CFX masks, but I was looking at both of their websites, and nothing that they had was in stock. Everything was like made to order, could be there in 8 weeks. And I'm like, I'm shooting in, 3 weeks. I need these things like now.
Yeah.
I can't take a chance that, maybe they'll be there in 4 weeks and we might just make it. So I eventually called them, and I was talking to someone, and they had a couple hands that kind of worked, but I was going to have to heavily modify them to make them appropriate for the character. And as I'm having this conversation, the sales representative is like, hold on. And she sends me a photo of a pair of hands that are not up for sale yet. They're planning to go on sale, but they have them in stock, but no one in the country has them. They're totally just on the back shelf waiting to be put into circulation, but have not yet. And she's like, would these work for you? And I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what I want. And so at the time of filming, and I don't know if they've gone on sale yet or not, but at the time of filming, those were the only hands like them in the entire country, which was kind of cool and a nice little, kind of make you feel like a big Hollywood movie at that point. Where we got a custom. No one else has these things.
It was necessary then to break the rule that we have been employing since ZombieCon. Speaking of lessons learned, which is 1 is none, 2 is 1. There was no chance with this one. There were literally only 1 pair available in the entire country that we could have gotten. So Kyle especially, but we both were protecting those hands with our lives. Like nothing can happen to our big bad's hands.
Yeah. They were really cool. I can't stress this enough, like how unique they were. When the moment, because he has his hands in his pocket at the beginning, but when he reaches for that door handle or to put, I think it was tap on the glass or something, I was like, oh, damn. I'm like, they're almost like Nosferatu hands almost from the original Dracula a little bit, but then not quite because his hands are massive. And I was like, geez. And they were like, your boy's got some hot dog fingers. Like, no kidding. Like, he's got some maws on him. And I was just like, geez. Like, because at first he doesn't seem as imposing or as big. But then when he walks up to the car, you're like, oh, damn, this is a big dude. And then when his hand comes out of his pocket to tap the glass, I was like, geez, he's got some paws on him. And, and they were just so unique and just like the color was really cool. That deadish gray blue color, like a body that's been in the ground for a little while. How you would imagine like the blueness, how the blood starts to rise to the surface. But anyways, it was really cool. But we just went a long way around to get to the part where I ask you, for people who are just now discovering what autonomous is. What is autonomous?
So autonomous is one of Screamify's original micro horrors, which is a couple series so far that the platform has funded and is putting out of micro horrors. So it's horror content, but made and shot vertically, specifically to be watched and binge watched, hopefully, on your phone, shot in 9:16 format, and in little bite-sized chunk episodes so that it's just easy to scroll on to the next one and consume the entire season in one sitting. Ours is 16 episodes. I believe it's around 26 minutes long total. And so it hits that sweet spot where you get the full satisfaction of getting a whole season out of it. And you can't, hopefully, you can't stop watching and putting it down. And yet it feels
that's a straight watch.
Totally fresh and new right there on your phone versus needing to go to a TV. And it's something different, made for the cell phone and shot that way. It fills the entire screen. So it's definitely funny enough that AI is a big part of the topic of this series, Autonomous, technology being what it is now and verticals being a new thing that people are adopting readily, made for TV or made for phone content, mobile first content. It's very fitting that this series taps into both.
Truly. Yeah, it was a really interesting, I guess, confluence, right, of events where the script itself is dealing with this emerging technology that's brand new and is just being introduced to the world, and it was just alien enough where I had to ride in one of these things in order to kind of get the feel for what's happening, and it's freaky, like the wheels jerking around by itself, and like it feels like you're in a science fiction movie, and producing a story with this element in a absolutely brand new way, like Erin was saying, for a brand new type of distribution in terms of vertical, micro horrors. It's like it just felt like a perfect unison.
Being on the cutting edge in
was
both
cool.
ways, right?
Yeah. So was it shot on a cell phone or was it a camera?
No, we shot on an Arri Alexa 35. We inverted it vertically.
Okay.
So that thing, you know, it was basically shot with the same camera that all but the absolute biggest films are shot on. There are, you know, there's an IMAX camera, of course, which, I mean, turning that thing vertical would be like turning a Volkswagen vertical. I don't think you're doing that. And then, you know, there's a higher end Alexa that's a larger format, but this is like the top of the top camera that we used to shoot a vertical on, which was really cool. And we had a special vertical integration plate that Ari had designed, and actually couldn't find one of these for sale either, and had to have one machined in Germany by the company and had it shipped out, which took like 2 months for them to get it to us.
Because it's
But you got it.
Yeah. And another thing that's so cool about Screamify too was when we were discussing making this, it was part of the thing that they said, absolutely, we're going for it. We want to make sure that when you shoot it, the camera, the whole thing is turned vertically. There's no going back, you know, let's shoot it regular, typical, you know, and then cut in. No. This was all in. And I love that kind of attitude with it too. It's like, we're setting out on a mission. This is what we're going to make. This is how we're doing it. We're going for it. There's no looking back.
Yeah.
It's, if you don't have a Screamify account, by all means, go check out these micro horrors shot in vertical display. I cannot stress enough how cool of a concept this is. Was it released episodic or was it released all at one time?
All at one time.
It was released all at one time, but, you know, segmented into episodes.
Yeah, okay. Because it's literally one of those where you go on a break at work and you only got like 5 or 10 minutes. You can squeeze in like 2 or 3 episodes in that time. And it's just a cool concept to have out there. And I'm like, why are we just now doing this? Like, why isn't this been a thing before? I mean, I've seen stuff shot in 9:16 before, but not to this degree.
Well, I feel like it's, well, first and foremost, I think there's always hesitation to change with everything. I think that's why, you know, we were kind of at the cutting edge of YouTube. We grew up at the time when YouTube was, you know, when Bo Burnham, right, was like doing his songs on YouTube way back in the day when Charlie Bit My Finger and all that stuff. And we watched it grow. And of course, when we were doing our first basically streaming service, which was a misinformed attempt to compete with Google and YouTube with our own meager budget, you know, which didn't obviously go great. It totally flopped, but it taught us a lot. You know, there was a lot of hesitancy back then for people in Hollywood to get involved with YouTube, whether it was a big budget production. I know Erin was involved with one, or it was just a regular YouTube content. And actors that I would go to class with, I would tell them we were doing a streaming service, and you know, they'd be like, "What is that, like YouTube?" Like, yeah, it's like YouTube, but we're going to try to elevate the art form and try to make it like, you know, like a real films and stuff on this specific streaming service. And everyone was kind of like, no, I'm not interested in doing that. You know, it wasn't super negative, but there was no real positivity
of their brand.
Exactly.
Way back in, like, let's say,
and look at it now.
2016, and now look at it.
Oh yeah, now people would jump over themselves to get in a Mr. Beast, you know, competition show, right? It doesn't even need to be acting. They'd be like, Mr. Beast, oh, anything he wants. Does he want me to run around the world eating a chocolate bar while jumping on one foot and take, you know, whatever it is, they'd be all in for. And I feel like this is just another kind of nexus in time where we're entering into this new age of digital streaming in regards to, and I guess Netflix is another thing to bring up during this conversation, because, you know, there was a time where people looked down at Netflix before it started, you know, coming out.
Remember when Netflix did DVDs in the mail?
I do. I'm ashamed to say I do. And I'm even more ashamed to say I never bought stock, because that would have been very nice.
Same.
But I think, yeah, this is just another one of those times where this is a new thing, right? We're kind of taking the vertical format from these vertical dramas that, you know, I don't want to put anyone down, but can be cheesy at times and aren't necessary. They're shot quick and dirty. They are multi-cam shoots. It's basically pretty static camera angles. They're not shot with the cinematic intent that we went for with Autonomous. And we had more time to do this. It was a shorter story than most verticals. It was a super well-written story by Sean Overbeek, who's actually the founder of Screamify. And he wrote it in such a way that it made our jobs extremely doable within that contained setting for this particular type of shoot within the constraints that we had. So it was kind of a perfect marriage in multiple respects. And I think that the art form on its own will grow into the future because, as you said, it's not going to replace a movie. If you want to go see a movie, you're going to sit down, you're going to turn the lights off, you're going to kick on the sound system, you're going to have 2 hours of time, and you're going to fall into that movie. This isn't for that. This is for, like you were saying, it's a break at work. It's kind of, you're on the bus, you got to get here, you're going there, you're in the back of a Lyft or an Uber or maybe a Waymo. And
I don't know about all that, dude.
Yeah, if anyone actually drives in a Waymo and watches this series, please let us know somehow, because I would love to
imagine this: watching autonomous in the back of a Waymo.
Yes.
On the way
While
to go
having
somewhere.
an argument with your significant other.
Exactly.
Well, I hope that you're not having an argument with your significant other.
No. That's funny that y'all brought that up. And this whole, when the thing started, it felt like, because I kind of had an idea what the movie was, but when you come out of the bar, your husband or boyfriend comes out of the bar behind you, y'all get into this Waymo and they start arguing. It sounded like almost like a mother-in-law from hell, Reddit post. And I was just like, this is cool. I like this. Okay. I'm like, we're acting out almost like a mother-in-law from hell, subreddit. I'm like, okay. And then you start seeing the little cues from the car and what the car is doing. And you're like, oh, okay, let's go. But yeah, it was such a cool concept.
I have to add a little story here too. And I haven't even told this one. You just brought back this memory of the mother-in-law from hell. Like, I was sitting the day before we started shooting, getting my nails done as the character, and I'm thinking about Amy and I'm processing everything, and I just had this idea that was nagging at me, being like, I just really, when Amy is imitating his mom, I know it's based in Atlanta, I grew up in Atlanta, I want the mom to have this really annoying Southern accent, and I knew the one. And
yes,
like as Amy, like it's like nails on a chalkboard. I could just hear it, and then all of a sudden, a lady sits down beside me, getting a manicure and pedicure, and she's got this thick Southern drawl that's just really annoying. I was like, oh my God, it's a sign. I've got to go for it. So the mother-in-law from hell, like, that came together in a couple different ways. But from real life, my experience, you never know when you're going over ideas for acting and you're out in the real world and little things just hit you. Like, that's got to be now incorporated.
It's funny because I can now hear that in my head. Yes. I grew up in the South. So this road you're talking about, the Southern voices, I hear those. I used to drive on roads like that all the time in Alabama. So I know exactly, like, I feel that every which way. And this is great because y'all actually didn't write this one. It was written by the guy from Screamify, which is really cool. And, I was going to ask where the original idea came from, but you already answered that, which in the concept, a driverless vehicle literally taking you to your demise, like, is such a unique thing to build a story around. And it's like a new fear unlocked. Like, you never thought, like, hey, I'm the type of person, if I'm not behind the wheel of a car, I don't really want to be in or around or near a car unless I'm controlling it. But like, in a lot of new fears and new themes of horror that haven't really been explored yet in this situation, because claustrophobia, the whole nine, is being played out here, in front of us in this fantastic, like, 3 to 4 minute episode of a horror movie. And y'all got to record this thing. How long was the shoot for this? Like, so I imagine it was done in a night or two. In my head, like, oh, they probably shot this in a day or two.
The shoot for this was originally planned for about a week, and then we had a nasty winter storm come through Georgia that severely sidetracked a number of elements of production. So we ended up having, I think, 2 or 3, I can't remember exactly how many. We had a couple makeup days about a week after, or 2 weeks after the initial shooting. So in total, I'd say, you know, 9 or 10 days total. Yeah.
But it was amazing the difference, you know, of different shoot days. For example, I know Kyle mentioned off live chat earlier, Waymo hunting. You know, this winter storm significantly impacted the Waymos that were available in Atlanta. There were none. And this was very early in the rollout already. So there weren't a lot already just free rolling around Atlanta that you could call. And even when you do call, like Kyle had said, you call through the Uber app and you can't actually specify, no, only a driverless vehicle. So we were Waymo hunting for, I don't know, a night and a half of burnt time.
Yeah.
Because they also were pulled, like we're saying, from the storm. So there were just no Waymos in Atlanta. And we're sitting there literally in a giant SUV with Dominic and I, the actors, and we're all loved up. We are in our costumes. We are ready to go. Kyle, the director, with our Alexa already hooked on, ready to go. The sound's on, like the AC Thin has got his monitor. We're all ready. And we're just calling Ubers, all of us on our cell phones nonstop. And every single one that was getting picked up was a driver. And you'd have to cancel immediately, start the whole process over again. And we went to different spots all around Buckhead because it's only in 2 parts of Atlanta that they currently were servicing. And we were just burning time. Which is so, like the most frustrating thing in the world.
But I will say on those reshoot days, the storm had passed and the Waymos were back in circulation. I had really found a great spot where it was safe to kind of operate. Obviously the permits covered it, all that stuff. And we got there, got to the spot, we called the Waymo. Waymo shows up. And now the trick is, okay, before we annoy any other motorists, because this was a dead-end street, so there was no real pass-through traffic. We were pretty good on that. But, you know, you've got a lady walking her dog over there. You know, we don't want to scare anyone. So we're out there, like, you know, a guy with a boom pole, and it's me with the camera, and everyone's trying to look nonchalant. And the Waymo comes down, and it's like, okay, we had written out all these schematics at the house and gone over it, you know, like a military plan. Like, this is our plan of attack. Like, we're going to set the lights. Someone's going to jump in. We have our AC is going to jump in. He's going to set the lights up in the Waymo. We're going to let the Waymo turn around. We're going to hope it doesn't drive away with our lights that we just set up. Okay, great. Now we get the actors set up on the other side of the street. Okay, you're in position. Great. Okay, now the camera set up, shot set up. Okay, focus. Are we in focus? You know, we're pulling focus with, you know, the motors, and there's a guy in a car like 50 feet away. We've got little radios and stuff, and we're all trying to communicate without screaming in this cul-de-sac. And, you know, this process, it probably took a total of 4 minutes, but it felt like with the adrenaline, and you're going and you're doing, and you're like, we have to get this shot.
We finally hooked our Waymo. We can't mess this one up.
And it's like, you know, I think we had a couple mishaps because, you know, it's just like anything. Well, the well-made plan, like, man proposes and God disposes. It's like even the most well-made plans go up in smoke when you're in the middle of the fire. And it's like, as soon as the Waymo gets there, everyone's asking me, wait, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? I'm like, guys, we went over this, and I'm trying not to freak out, because if I freak out, that's it. That's
everybody's
over. So I'm having to calmly, as I know that we only have, like, you know, a couple minutes before this thing peels off and is like, no rider found or something. Because I'd never really tested the longevity of how long a Waymo would sit. I assumed it was similar to an Uber, so it'd wait like maybe 5 or 10 minutes before it decided that, you know, we're fake riders or something. And so we go over everything, everyone gets in their positions, and, you know, by the grace of talented actors and talented crew, we pulled it off, and we got these beautiful round of shots. And that was like a huge victory moment for the entire team.
One thing that was crazy, though, was Dominic and I were in the back, and they're shooting like the exterior of the car driving away with us in it. But it's important to get, you know, all of us, our coverage in this one shot. And the Waymo suddenly just like stops right as it's just started going. And this voice, this ethereal sounding voice, comes from nowhere. I get everywhere. So it's the speakers. They're like, attention, please do not be sitting in the front seat. You must be sitting in the back seat. And Dominic and I are looking at each other like, I said, we're sitting in the back seat. You must not be sitting. And she repeats it. And I'm just like, no, like we're in the back seat. We're following the rules. Like, please just keep driving. I didn't say we're filming. You need to keep driving. And it's because I'm sweating bullets that I didn't realize that it must have registered because we just placed a little light in the very front so that we were illuminated.
The door opened, it triggered it.
That's what it was like registering. But honestly, like Kyle said, like chicken with the head cut off, I was so nervous already just thinking as an actor, like, please, Waymo, keep going, that I wasn't even registering that's what it was talking about. It was a very surreal experience.
Yeah, you also can't really get them to go exactly where you want them to go because they decide to do their own thing. But doubling back on the difficulty of getting a Waymo, this just poured salt in the wound of the entire story. Literally a week after we closed production, and I'm editing, and I've got some stuff going on in the background, like some YouTube video or something's playing, and a news segment comes up from Atlanta. Street attacked by Waymos and autonomous vehicles. Will this street takeover ever end? And apparently there's a street not too far away from where we are that has like 100 Waymos all the time on it, and it's one of their circulation routes. So when they don't have a driver, they go back to this pinpoint and they just go up and down this street. It's like a parade of Waymos, and it's like annoying all the citizens that are living over there. And I'm like, this couldn't have come out a week before. We would have been golden. We would have gone down there. We would have had our choice of like, what Waymo does everyone want? You want that Waymo,
like
or you want that Waymo?
Because
we also had to match. We had to try to match the upholstery of the Waymo with the Jaguar that we rented to be our kind of faux Waymo for the matching interior shots. And we luckily got one with a tan interior, but most of them have a black interior, and it's kind of like hit or miss in Atlanta. In LA, apparently they have different color schemes for different cities. I know way too much about Waymos. I've been on all.
Imagine though, if you would have been a week earlier, you could have got a whole bunch of B-roll off of that street.
It would have been amazing. Oh yeah.
The only thing that wouldn't have worked for B-roll, and I have thought about that because I thought about going out there and getting some B-roll. I was like, well, the one issue with that is it's going to look pretty suspicious if every car in the background of this B-roll is a Waymo, because that's going to be like, are there any other cars on the road?
I have to interject when you're talking about shooting with the Jag, that I can't believe we didn't think about this on set. So the faux Gomo should have been called the FOMO.
That would have been
missed
good.
Opportunity.
Yes.
True. But you faced a lot of challenges. Well, I'm saying you, I'm saying both of you. It's better than me saying y'all all the time. But there's a lot of challenges and a lot of things going on to make this movie happen. What were like was there one specific scene or something specifically that was just like, what the hell? Like, just this extremely difficult thing that happened along the way or anything like that?
Well,
outside of trying to get a Waymo.
Yeah, outside of trying to get a Waymo, you have all of your regular problems that come with any kind of film set. So I won't go into any of the regular nitty gritty. Special difficulty points, I'll probably stick with the night shoot on the road, which was just a logistical difficulty, right? You've got to get all of your equipment out there. You've got to get everything out of the trucks, get everything, set up a small base camp because it's going to be pitch black in an hour. Get some tertiary lights set up, then get, the real lights set up, get the, car in position, get the actors in position. And of course, we're burning through. It's not like we've one scene on a road. We're using this road for multiple locations. So we also have to reposition everything for the multiple locations. And that takes a tremendous amount of time. You're also shooting late at night. And after you get done shooting, in the back of your mind, okay, the last job of the day is to rebox up everything we did, try to get it back into the, trucks that it barely fit into to begin with, and do that all in complete darkness. And with each light you remove your visibility. So, that was just a a logistical difficulty. We had another issue with a location where we had rented and this is in the behind the scenes documentary. We had rented basically a restaurant venue to have our couple exit the restaurant. And I love the exterior of this restaurant, which is set into a large office building. And I thought this could be a perfect upscale place for the Waymo to arrive at. And I talked to the folks over at the restaurant, and they assured me that they had cleared it with the property owner. So we had paid for that space. We get out to the front of the building, we start shooting, and immediately we're descended upon by security. And this becomes a back and forth with, multiple people where I'm calling the guy who rented us the space, and he's like, oh, I cleared it with him, but he clearly hadn't. And it was this huge issue, and we ended up losing like 2 hours of filming time at that location and getting more or less told to leave politely. We were very polite as well. I think had we been more brash, we could have faced arrest or something. Like this guy, the security guard was taking his job extremely seriously. And I'm, of course, the indie filmmaker in me is like surreptitiously telling people to like, yeah, box that up over there. Stuff that's not important, box that up over there. Aaron, Derek, or Eric and Dominic, you need to get into the car that's about to arrive. Okay, I know it's our FOMO, our fake Waymo, but you need to get into this thing, and I'm gonna shoot you. But don't look. Just act regularly. Like I can't talk too much. Like there's gonna be no action. So just go when the car shows up. And I talked to my friend Chad Tolson, who's driving the car. He's like, he's just literally picking up the car because he doesn't know what's happening. And so I'm like hoping that he doesn't like peel off with the actors in the car and all this stuff. And so we have them walk over to it. The security guard's kind of eyeing me. He kind of knows what's up, but he doesn't say anything. Yeah. And we ended up getting that shot. Now, in the end, we ended up not using it, right? We ended up using the actual Waymo because we were able to actually get one. But that was a little hairy. But it's, I think
the security guards, man.
Yeah, he was serious. Yeah. Now he was polite. He was very polite, and like I have no bad feelings. He's a guy doing his job. Yeah, I'm a guy doing my job. And really, it came down to the business owner who assured us in a legal contract that he had this space, he had control over this space, and he didn't. So we found him in breach of contract, and they were very, apologetic about it. They offered us other locations. Unfortunately, they didn't work. And of course, they refunded the money that we had lost within the of doing this. And they were
at least some good came out of that, right?
Yeah, 100%. No, they were complete gentlemen about it. Really have nothing negative to say about anyone in the entire situation. Yeah. It was just a difficult situation. And sometimes those things happen. Wires get crossed.
Yeah.
You got to talk about the woods.
Yeah, I could talk about the woods, but I will say first off, and this is similar to ZombieCon as well, but this one was the entirety of the shoot. We were shooting night shoots, and some were much later than others. Some, well, I guess some of them we would start more at like 3 p.m. and it would go on, but a lot of them were night shoots. And that's all fine and good when you're the actor and you end at a certain time and you know that you're not going to have a call time that's earlier than 12 hours separated. That's SAG rules. But when you're producing, that's not the case. Yeah. You've got paperwork to do. You've got to help with, equipment cleanup and everything. Luckily, Kyle and the guys were really doing most of the equipment, everything with that. But we all had jobs and tasks to do with the crew. And so you got hours of that, and then the showering and this and that. It was my first time without my daughter being separated from my baby for more than like 2 days. I think that was the longest stretch up at that point. So this was going on a week without her. I was, the hormones were kicking in, making me like crazy. And then you're still wanting to unravel a little bit at the end of the night and have 2 minutes to relax and talk with everyone. And at the end of the day, you're waking up and boom, you're getting right back into it. There is no break. So it's a grind, production always, no matter if you're doing day shoots, night shoots, anything. But definitely the woods, Amy running through the woods was pretty crazy.
Barefoot.
Pretty harrowing, barefoot. And it was made all the better, if you will, by the fact that it was in low 30s weather, said winter storm, and it had been misting all day. So everything was wet. And it was so cold, in fact, that Kyle insisted, and thank God, that I was only out there shooting the running through barefoot in like 2-minute segments, because then I had to go back inside and get heated up, and I had hand warmers, toe warmers right by the fire, heaters, the whole thing, because my feet were literally going numb. One time they were so numb that I was like, Kyle, I can't walk. And he just hands off the camera to one of the guys, scoops me up over his shoulder like a fireman, and sprints back to the house the whole way.
My dude, that's my dude.
Romantic. It was pretty romantic. I was kind of happy about it a little bit, you know. But
I wish we had gotten some footage of that. I could have been a contender.
It was not the day that awesome Behind the Screams was following us. That would have definitely made for your heroes moment. It was pretty awesome.
All the more reason to have you run in frozen weather again.
I will say though, it definitely, I can't all the way say that was the most difficult for me, because as an actor, there was a part of me just celebrating, going, perfect, my job is that much easier. I'm actually freezing. I'm a little bit terrified. I'm definitely not feeling great. You know, this is making for some easier acting.
Did y'all use the same woods right there along the road?
So basically we split that location. We used the woods location alongside the road for the woods entry and woods exit, and then we had a separate woods location that we had more control over, and that was closer to base camp, that we could use for all the tertiary shots of Amy running through the woods and kind of, you know, calling the Huma, which is the human version of an Uber in this story. Did she? Sorry, I just thought I heard my baby cry, so I was like, my ears just perked up. What was that? So it, you know, a little bit of movie magic in joining those two pieces together, and obviously we didn't have a ton of time at the road, and that series of shots with Amy did take, I think, a full night. We were shooting out there, and then some, actually.
And then a little bit of pickups here and there. I kept thinking that I'm done, and then it's like, oh, gotta get all dirtied, gotta get the bloody makeup on again, gotta get back in the cold for a little pickup here and there. And one of the more exhausting aspects of it as well was for the Huma. When I did get in that was actually shot sequentially at the very end of that super long night of already having run through the woods, barefoot through the cold for hours off and on. And at the very end, then we got my coverage inside that car. And so again, the actor and me happy, because I was absolutely exhausted. I was emotionally spent. The tears and everything were flooding out as the character. It happened really more easily than not. But definitely the producer me was like a little overwhelmed, thinking, oh my God, after all that, we still need to get this coverage. It's definitely daunting. That was challenging.
You did a fantastic job.
I was really happy with how it went. And I love the way that Kyle shot that, because that was one of the few where I didn't really see storyboards on that. I didn't know how he was going to shoot that. And I felt the way you did was so intentional and raw and emotional, and being trapped there with her. Like, it's a moment of relief. The character's also pouring through with her grief. Yeah. But it's so different from the coverage, the other car, the Waymo that I had been in, where it's really claustrophobic feeling. This one, you're just almost uncomfortably close, watching Amy just completely lose it and process all this grief. And I think it turned out really, really, really
yeah. I mean, dude, that ending was something special. I was like, yes, she made it. Wait, no. I'm like, damn. I'm like, you gotta give the bad guy one or two here and there.
Yeah, she was so close. So close. Poor Amy.
Oh, well.
It was a great swerve, though. I'm not gonna lie. It was such a cool swerve right there at the end. Like, you're waiting to like how's this end? Is it, like, that's like your moment for me. Like, the heroine wins, yes. And then he looked up, and I was like, well, shit. All right. Well, we know how this is gonna end. But the ending was perfect. Nothing else had to be done. Nothing else had to be said. She processed that grief, and then he looked up, and you're like, and then the credits. I was like, oh. It's like, that's it. That's the money right there.
That's old. Yeah, for sure. I'm happy that it ended that way as well. I think it wrapped up the story nicely.
So nicely. I mean, the whole time you're trying to process, what is this thing? Like, because there's no hints. There's no nothing. there's no rhyme or reason for this card to, you know, bug out and do its own thing. Like, you never get any of those like details that you would get maybe in a fleshed out horror movie. We're talking 25 minutes, 4-minute segments, and it was just perfect. You don't need those fine-tooth details to explain the story. There's a beginning, a middle, and the end, and it's just absolutely, it just all works so well together. And I am loving like this whole new concept of storytelling from this kind of angles and perspectives, and that you don't have to flush it out like an entire story like that. You can just yeah, drop in. Yeah, like you could even have pick this up from like episode 3 or episode 4, if you want to call them episodes, and still been able to jump in and like, oh, what is this? This is kind of a unique concept, and it would have still just worked. You know, the last 10 minutes versus the first 10 minutes, it still works. And that's such a cool concept to grasp a hold of. And this whole idea of micro horror that Screamify is working on and doing right now, like they have this whole microverse planned out, which is such a cool thing, because I like these types of things, because I don't get a whole lot of time to watch TV, to process TV like that. But however, if I'm, you know, going outside to make a phone call, and then I'm like, okay, I'm going to take a breather away from my desk, I can pull up Screamify and watch 2 to 3 minute segments of something that's actually interesting versus, you know, watching myself on YouTube, which I do from time to time. Because I think you have to. It's like a rite of, I don't want to say a rite of passage, but you're giving yourself the views, yes, but just you watch yourself and you go, and I'm sure it works the same way for y'all. I mean, you're watching yourself act on a screen, and just like, oh, I wish I would have done that different. I wish I would have asked that differently. You know, and I know I pick up those things now. And before I wouldn't pick those things up, but now I'm like, I'm a hand talker. I know that. And it's just, you just kind of pick up nuances of yourself by watching yourself. And I do a lot of that, is, you know, what I'm getting at with that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. But, I usually watch anything that I make. I've had to watch probably 600 times in the edit. So,
oh, I'm sure. And same. I will watch the same clip 7, 8, 9, 10 times until I get the timing just right. And which is funny because I use 2 different programs, one to pull the clips and another program to kind of polish them up. And sometimes the endings that you were aiming for will get clipped by like a half a word. So you're, as the clip ends and before it goes into my promotional type stuff for my podcast, it will clip out right there. And I'm like, and there's nothing you can do to fix it. It's just the natural thing that happens as you go from one program into another program. You can't fix it. I've tried. I've banged my head up against the desk, and I'm just like, it just is what it is. So well, actually, I did fix it, kind of. I added just a few extra sackets at the very end. That way, when I do pull it, it's not clipping as bad, if at all, anymore. So little nuances you learn as you start to edit your own stuff.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a constant learning process, like we were talking about earlier. Yeah. Right? You're always learning from yourself. You're learning from your mistakes, hopefully recreating the successes along the way.
This is one of those where, is it on par? It's 2 different worlds in my eyes. ZombieCon is like this phenomenal cult classic that, you know, and then this is something new, something different. We don't know yet what that's going to be. Is this going to be a successful venture for Screamify? I hope it is, because this is just a cool way to ingest like cool concept horror. And being a horror guy and loving horror, this is just really fun and a really cool concept that they're attempting to do. For this though, was there like, how did you have to approach it differently from a vertical versus a horizontal film perspective? Because I know they kind of was like, hey, here's the camera, here we will make sure everything's ready for you just to pick up and go. Was like, did you approach it differently, knowing that this is less than 30 minutes versus ZombieCon, which I think was like an hour and 30-ish? I can't remember.
Hour 45-ish, something.
Hour and 45-ish, yeah.
Yeah, no, everything is totally different. I mean, even if it was an hour and 45 minutes shot horizontally, every story has to be attacked in a unique way. Obviously every character is different. The tonality of a story is different. This obviously is very different from ZombieCon tonally. This is a slow burn, right? You've got a dynamic relationship that's very grounded and real. ZombieCon, our characters are a bit bigger than life. They're obviously in love with these pop culture elements that, make their world seem more colorful and bigger and crazy. And this is very much, any couple that you could know or see on the street and just,
That's exactly what I was going to say. Like, this could happen to anyone. That's the creepiness about autonomous.
Exactly.
And because, like we've been chatting about, because this technology is so brand new and yet it's already out there, it's on the roads, people are using it. Maybe you've used it, your friends are using it. And now you could totally see, oh shit, if I was in that situation and you really realize you've given over all your freedoms, if this car decided to go, everyone thinks about the traffic. Oh, if it goes in the middle, through the middle.
Shit, what if it decides it's going to drive itself off a bridge or a mountainside?
Right. But
and who has control?
Exactly.
Who has control over that technology? Because if, and that was one of the things that was, really taught in the script. It's very obvious, and it's something I thought about through the entire creation process. If you were to upset the person who, could overwrite basically the car, I mean, who's to say what can happen to you? And of course, they'll say, well, that can't happen. And we've got safety protocols to protect against everything like that. And I'd say, I've seen Terminator 2. I've seen Terminator Genesis. I've seen all the Terminators. There were safety protocols on Skynet too. That's what I feel like we're walking right into that future. So it is slightly terrifying. And the fact that we give so much of our lives to technology in ways that I think, would be totally alien and foreign to us, maybe 10, 15, 20 years ago, certainly 20. And now we kind of take it for granted. I know Erin's spoken a lot about a class she had in college where the teacher was talking about location pinging for posting.
Yeah.
And her and all of her friends were like, who's going to be dumb enough to post their location on the internet when they're actually there? And obviously
the metadata is built in.
Right. And now everyone does it. It's not seen as a security risk. It's just kind of a normalized piece of our society, but it does put you at risk. And these technological aspects of our world that become a part of us almost because it's normalized. No one really brings up the fear factor in it apart from autonomous, I guess, right? It's not really a general conversation. Obviously, people's not out there being like, hey, think about if our cars decided to take you on a different path.
What was the Stephen King movie about the car?
I'm not sure. I do know that we've got, of course, Drive, the Steven Spielberg movie, with the truck that chases the car.
Is this the one that came out a couple years ago?
No, well, I think it was redone. Christine.
Oh, yep.
This is Christine, but the future version. It's like the demon that possessed Christine is now the demon possessing your car and autonomous. Only, it's a little bit nicer. Instead of just killing you itself like Christine did, this one delivers you to a monster.
Yeah. very thoughtful. It's a thoughtful.
Either way, you're getting your demise, right?
Yeah. Yep.
But do you see this vertical form of storytelling as a trend, or do you see this as a legitimate way to tell stories going forward?
I think
y'all's opinion on it.
Yeah, no, I think it's just like we were speaking about prior. I think right now it seems like it could be a trend, but I see a future where this is very much a normalized thing. I think we're just kind of in that part of the process where new technology gets introduced, where it's so new and it's kind of like Erin was saying, it's cutting edge. It's like everyone who sees it is like, oh, I've never seen anything like this before. But when you've seen 10 or 20 things like this, it will become a more normalized viewing experience. And from there, you know, the gates are open, because this is also very accessible, especially for the indie filmmaking community. You know, obviously we shot on a very high-end camera and we had a lot of very good equipment and gear. But looking into the future with the evolution of obviously the cell phone cameras, their ability to capture footage in low light, and the shrinking down of basically Hollywood tools, which has been happening and continues to be ongoing with new lighting companies. Like, I know it's not new, of course, but Aperture, for example, replacing a lot of the RE Sky panels and uberly expensive lights with a lower cost, high-end alternative. And then going down from that, you've got their, I forget what their, Amaran, right, is the brand below that, which has just come out with all these fantastic lights, which beats their price out, and all these different lighting companies doing these amazing things to shrink down Hollywood powered lights into a consumer, you know, accessible format is fantastic. And of course, it's not just about the cheapness of the product. It is literally about the shrinking down of these things in terms of their weight. If you can shrink a light down to the size of your fist, well, now you don't need a 50-pound piece of scaffolding, a C-stand, or, you know, a combo stand to hoist it up on. You don't need, you know, 100 pounds of sandbags to put on that thing and the guys to move it all around and get it positioned into the proper place. So I think that you'll only see more of these in the future, and it will be seen as more or less I don't want to say a new YouTube, because it's not a new YouTube and it's not the same thing, but it will open the floodgates of creativity for artists, big and small, new and old, across the entire, you know, web and basically film ecosystem, to a relatable form of media that can be immediately delivered to audiences, because distribution is also something that is very difficult for films to get, right? It's an expensive, litigious process that it serves as a bulwark against there being more movies than there could be. And this doesn't necessarily cut that out. We obviously went through SAG-AFTRA, we pulled permits with the city of Atlanta, but I don't think there's anything stopping a group of friends from, you know, telling a haunted horror story with their cell phone, you know, in their house. And when this becomes a more normalized format, those folks will have an audience. And I think it serves, you know, basically, if you want cinema to succeed in the future, you should watch Autonomous. I'll end with that.
Well said.
I won't say cinema, I'll say media.
In the way that I look at it, you know, you're on your phone and you only have certain amounts of time, like you were saying earlier, that's free time where you can consume things, where you can watch things. Everyone's watching things on their phone. Maybe they're scrolling on social media, or maybe they're pulling out an app, a streaming app, and actually watching things. But there's clearly the need for something to watch. What better way then, if you want to get something cinematic and you only have a little bit of time, or you're just watching it on your phone, than to go ahead and watch something that's designed to be watched, that fits the exact frame, so you don't have any wasted space. You're not turning your phone sideways.
It's also uncomfortable to hold your phone sideways.
It's super. I'm resettling my daughter all night long when she wakes up, and I am turning it sideways and the brightness down low. Would be much more easy to be watching a vertical. But I just think there's an immediate need. It makes sense to have things that's high end, that's approachable, and that's shot for that format. And I think as long as that exists, people are going to be watching things on their cell phone, and they want to be watching something good. Hopefully people consider Autonomous that, and not just, you know, scrolling social media. There's a need for this. And the fact that Screamify is on the cutting edge and attacking this the way they are, I think is just phenomenal. And I do think it's here to stay. Not replacing movie theaters or anything else, but it's another way to view it that I think absolutely is here.
I got to step away for just a second, but while I'm stepping away, can you answer what's next for Big Squid? And I'll be right back.
You got it.
Yes. We do have a couple different projects in the wings. Some we could talk about more than others.
Oh, we're taking over the podcast. All right, we're in control of the starship.
Now that we're in control.
Yes, you're on a ride with us. Okay, so
we got a couple different projects. Some we can talk about more than others, but I guess the one that we have the most freedom to talk about is definitely wrapping up It's Watching. It's a feature film that we shot about a year and a half almost ago, and Kyle's almost done with the edit, like literally the very end of post-production.
And we can see a perfect segue into autonomous with the camera that's obviously set on tracking, that's watching the people in the room unbeknownst to them. But yes, going back to It's Watching.
The fact that the movie's called It's Watching and you're getting distracted by the camera watching.
All right, that's a double.
It's watching. We're watching, you're watching, it's watching, we're all watching.
No, but
what are we watching?
Well, okay. That's enough of that. So, but we're never going to be allowed to take over the podcast again. No. So It's Watching is a bottled horror film following a frustrated filmmaker who moves from Los Angeles to Atlanta. I know that all of you are thinking, oh, wow, this sounds somewhat familiar to what you've been telling us. And that's because we patterned it over. Oh, hello. Welcome back. Okay, we'll relinquish the controls back to you now. We took over for a second.
No, I love that. That's to me is so cool. I do apologize. My
No, don't
right.
sweat it. So,
But,
well, I'll just finish up by saying it's a horror film that'll be coming out in the near future. We haven't decided on what distribution method we'll be using. We're either going to be going with traditional distribution, or we may do something different and put it directly onto YouTube and do a compendium series with basically breaking down how it was made, because it was shot for basically a $0 budget, apart from, feeding the 2-person crew we had, which one of those crew members was me. And I unfortunately rack up a bill when it comes to eating. So, it was probably a little bit more than it should have been, but we had a great time shooting it. And we shot in a very unique way. So we're playing with that, and we'll see kind of what it does in the festival circuits, and we'll go from there. But we'll keep everyone updated. All right, back to the chairman. Sorry.
No, y'all are good. It's one of those where I know with certain people on the podcast, I know I can step away if I need to step away, and they will just carry it until I make my return. And y'all are too, where I could probably just walk away and let y'all just have at it and be like, okay, cool. I know that's going to be great. Whatever was said is going to be amazing, and it's going to be great. And I don't have to worry about it. There's nothing that's been said that I'm going to have to edit out later. So it's really cool.
I don't know. Erin was getting very spicy with what she was saying. I don't know if it was 100% appropriate. No.
Hey, that's fine. I mean, it works for me. I mean, I probably have said and heard worse. But so are y'all, would y'all be open to exploring more things like autonomous and shooting in that vertical format again, whether y'all write it yourselves or you get another opportunity with Screamify, which I think Screamify is doing something absolutely amazing with this concept. So
yeah, absolutely.
I would be 100% down. Filming a vertical was very freeing as an artist, because it totally allowed me to reimagine, something that I've been working on for the past 15 years. And I found it to be a very fun form factor to kind of shoot in. And honestly, once you get through the first day of shooting vertically, it just kind of clicks, your brain just kind of flips over and you're like, oh, okay, I get it. So we're maximizing, the horizontal aspect ratio. So you're looking for things that are taller, things that, usually you'll have sprawling landscapes in a horizontal, aspect ratio. And you'll be looking for things to kind of frame your actor with in order to create a beautiful shot. And here you're doing the same.
I gotta go.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry. Go on a baby. I'll be back.
Nope.
Baby.
Take care of Anya.
Give her a kiss for me. Okay. So now, hold on, wait. Alakazam. Oh, Erin's been changed into a dog. I don't know how that happened.
If I was any good at post-production, I would make it happen. But that was actually, which is funny that I brought that up, is from editing a standard movie to editing a vertical formatted movie? Was there different approaches to that? Because I imagine, like, I'm used to editing that way. I make clips that way. I do that on almost a daily basis. How is that for you, having worked in film and editing, and then just to kind of literally just turn it sideways, and now you're editing from this format?
It wasn't difficult at all. Just set the aspect ratio in DaVinci to be a vertical, and I filmed the whole thing, so I'd been obviously seeing everything that I was shooting, and I knew what I was getting myself into, and I already had everything pretty storyboarded, like pretty much storyboarded completely from the onset. I like to deviate a little bit from storyboards, but I try to stick generally close to them, especially when you have limited resources for, on-set personnel, just to keep everyone organized. It helps for people to have a visual cue. But yeah, it kind of just felt like editing a horizontal film, to be honest. I didn't really see much of a difference with it. It restricts in some ways your ability to reframe shots, right? So if you had an issue, right, it's a little bit more difficult because you're really just going to get closer. There's no real like reframing when you're kind of chopping off the sides, and you do have max headroom. You've got a lot of, vertical space like we were talking about. So a little bit of difficulty in that. But we shot with a variety of lenses. We had a great lens kit on this. So we were shooting with 16 up to 100 mil. So 16, I think we had a 24, a 35, a 50, a 65, and 100. And I may be missing one in there. But it allowed for a ton of flexibility, and because we had enough time and we had control over the set, especially for those interiors, it allowed me to get full coverage from every angle of the car, because I knew that the editing of the conversation, I wanted it to be, pointed and specific, while also being invisible to the viewer. I didn't want to call attention to anything unless I wanted attention to be called to it. But I also was very acutely aware of the fact that we're in a car for almost the entire duration of the entire show. And I didn't want to just go, medium close, medium close, medium close, medium close, medium close, medium close. I wanted to kind of move around the car, almost as the car is like the observer of this conversation.
It worked. It 100% worked. And I'd never seen anything like this before. I mean, the concept, maybe a little bit outside, like, you're driving down a country road and a big monster comes out. Yep. Seen it, been there, done that. Almost hit many of cows driving home at night. So, yep, been there, done that. But the concept was so unique, so original, and which leads me to ask, are there any trends right now in horror that you are excited about?
Well, generally speaking, I saw one. I was trying to look this up earlier haphazardly on my phone, and I keep forgetting the name of it. I couldn't find it. It's the new A24 movie that is about a podcaster. I don't know. Have you seen it?
No, but I got Google.
Let me try to look it up real fast. I feel so terrible that I don't remember the name of this. It was a fantastic film.
Undertone.
Thank you. That's it. I can't believe I keep forgetting the name of it. I keep thinking it starts with an N, and I'm thinking like necromancy, and I'm like, that's definitely not it. But I saw it recently. I had to actually stop it 10 minutes before the ending, because it actually had me pretty spooked, and the subject matter is very difficult, especially having a small child in the house. And I just, it
and the
creeped
fact
me
that
out.
You do a lot of podcasts too.
Yeah, that's true. And this film, it captured a lot of the elements of what I'm kind of seeing emerge in a number of different spaces, when it's kind of the immersion of horror with the modern day sensibilities / approach / technology, where I think, we've gotten a lot of it's difficult to write. For me, I'll speak for myself. difficult for me to write a horror without just knocking out the cell phones, right? Knocking out all the technological advances, or creating a setting where you're in the middle of nowhere from the get-go, like a cabin in the woods thing, and everyone's like, you got their phone up, where's the service?
Such a good movie, though.
Yeah, it is fantastic. But it's great to see horror kind of embracing, that technology, and then taking that technology to where it can go. And in undertone, right? I won't spoil anything, but it's a manifestation of horror through technology, which obviously, coming off Autonomous, is similar to, right? It's the manifestation of horror through technology. And so I think that telling those type of stories, it gives us more ground to play with, because it's not necessarily been trod as much as other things, like, like you were saying, Monster in the Middle of the Road, seen that, vampire movies. We've all seen a million different vampire iterations, werewolves. So we're kind of getting a new boogeyman that is a part of our everyday life, right? It's not like it's an alien foreign concept. It's not, Freddy Krueger showing up in your dreams, or Michael Myers, a super powered, like, I don't even know what he actually is when you break it down, but he always terrified me as a kid just because you could not take him down. Or like It, or Aliens, or Predator. You're getting something that you physically interact with on a daily basis, and the skewing of that, and showing you what happens if that goes wrong. And a little bit more realistically than another one of my favorite movies. I think this is my first rated R movie I saw in theaters, Virus, which also dealt with the same concept, although maybe in a less realistic way. But I was looking at my computer when I got home that night after watching that movie, and I was kind of wondering if it was going to get up.
There was, this is it. So you had mentioned something, and it reminded me of Lawnmower Man.
Which was that?
Lawnmower Man.
Lawnmower Man. No, I don't think I've heard of that.
It's a horror movie. I think the original one. So the second one came out in 1996, and it was called Beyond Cyberspace. So dealing with the same type of subject there. But shoot, my bad. Apparently the first one come out in 92. So it's a mentally disabled gardener, and Pierce Brosnan's in it. He plays a scientist who uses virtual reality and drugs to enhance the person's intelligence, turning him into a superhuman with dangerous psychic abilities. So this was when back in the early 90s, when VR was like the big thing, right? But yeah, basically the dude gets loose into like the power and the grids and all this stuff. It was a really dope concept of a movie back then. It was very new at the time as well, with VR being the newest technological thing out there. So I don't know. It just made me like, it just made me like the randomness of that thing you mentioned. I'm like, oh, that's kind of like, Lawnmower Man back in the day. I couldn't remember, and I forgot it was Pierce Brosnan as well, which is kind of wild that he was even in that movie, because it was very much a B horror movie.
Hey, they all have to start somewhere, and sometimes they start somewhere, they get to the very top, and then a tax bill comes through it. And
I can't remember if he was I can't remember if he was a James Bond before that, or if that was after the fact. But it seems like after this, he was Bond.
James Bond.
He really was, and then he did the movie with Robin Williams.
Was that? Oh, that was Mrs. Doubtfire.
Mrs. Doubtfire, yes. And then there's been a few other ones where, he was just like absolutely amazing in, but like the dude was like the psychologist from Lawnmower Man,
That's awesome. I'll have to watch that. That sounds
it's really good. It's such a cool concept, and I love cool concept movies like this. And I think like the number one horror movie in the United States or in the world right now is like the movie that YouTuber shot, of all things.
Yeah.
Like a YouTuber has the number one, I think I forgot what the budget was, but it was like the number one horror movie, like
$750,000. Movies called Obsession. I don't with a small daughter, it's hard to get to the movie theaters, so I'm eagerly awaiting its digital release.
Same.
And can't wait to check it out at home.
I've heard nothing but absolutely amazing things about it too. Like everybody, my daughter watched it and she said it was amazing.
It makes total sense. I mean, YouTube has been a great place to foment talent. And I think, I think people have split opinions on how media has evolved in the last, decade or so. I think, and everyone, I'm not here to make a broad generalization or judgment on anything, but I think it's fairly reasonable to state that, a lot of people that may have made their way through the Hollywood system, if we had been in the 80s, chose to become YouTubers because it is more accessible. There aren't those many hurdles and bars to entry that are traditionally in Hollywood. It's something that you can just start doing.
Yeah.
You don't need a $10 million budget or something crazy. And maybe they didn't go to film school. I think that this individual did go to film school, or
I
was
can't
going
remember.
with a roommate.
I cannot remember.
I think he was doing some sort of film school. I mean, honestly, I think YouTube could be a film school. That's how I learned how to make movies, was by watching tutorials on YouTube. But regardless, it doesn't change the fact that a lot of people that I think are going to be, your next flock of incredible filmmakers, actors, special effects artists, cinematographers. You're going to see more and more of these people coming from YouTube because this is the next guard generation. This is the kind of creative class that's been built. And quite frankly, I think with the amount of footage and work that YouTubers do, I know we were talking previously just about your release schedule, like it's prolific, right? This isn't something that, a regular, like, let's say like Larry King, right? He's doing a show. He's talking. He's not doing all of the other stuff with his show. And again, nothing against anyone who doesn't do everything. But it's one of those things that trains you. It lets you look at it from every angle. And I think if you're perceptive and patient with it, it will only further and enhance your ability to do the thing that you're doing primarily. So I think we're going to see more and more of these folks come from YouTube and come from basically a social media background. And now that Hollywood's caught in wind that I think two of the most successful movies, Backrooms and Obsession, came from YouTubers, it'll also be seen for them as if I hire a YouTuber, it's going to definitely make money, which was
I don't think that's going to be the case at all.
Oh, no, I'm not saying that it will definitely make money, but it's generally, I think it's kind of how Hollywood plays things, where it's a big corporation. And if we look back at like Lord of the Rings, right? Lord of the Rings comes out. We don't really see a ton of movies adapted from books. Lord of the Rings blows, the world wide open, and there's like this absolute masterpiece of a film. I mean, I think the trilogy, to be quite frank, is three of the best movies that have ever been committed to the film.
Hands down.
And then you get Harry Potter. Now, Harry Potter just happened to hit that nexus sweet spot where it was in the right place at the right time. It engaged the entire youth of the world. I'm a big Harry Potter fan. I know my wife is. And it did amazingly well. And then all of a sudden, every book gets made. Percy Jackson does pretty good, right? It's a pretty good movie. But then
I think that movie was cheated. That movie was definitely cheated. It deserved a good trilogy or whatever that was originally planned for it. The TV series has been phenomenal, in my opinion. But definitely, I think they got robbed. I would have loved to have seen that all the way through.
I would have as well, but that was also a casualty, right, of the drop off in box office returns from these book kind of conversions, because that came later, right, in the cycle. So I think that this will be seen, and I think that, quite frankly, we're going to see some great movies from it. There are going to be some not so great movies too, but there's going to be a lot of great movies that come from it, because there's a lot of pent up creativity that's been not necessarily held hostage on YouTube, but hasn't been necessarily accessible to the entire world. I just hope that they go for folks that are, everywhere in between, the person with 20 million followers and then the really talented kid that maybe only has 200 followers. And I hope that they're really scouting that talent with a fine tooth comb. I mean, quite frankly, it'll make them more money and it will give us better movies. And it's
a lot of untapped talent out there, and you see it all day on YouTube, Instagram, and it's just like, and you see it and you're like, man, that they would be phenomenal in this one movie over here or something like that. And they're just writing their own skits, they're acting in their own skits, and they're having a lot of fun doing it. It's not costing them money to really make the skits. I mean, at most it's costing them time, you know?
Sure.
And but no, it's really cool when you find one you really like and you're like, I like this. I really hope to see this person in something one day on the big screen. And maybe they will, maybe they won't, but only time tells that, right?
That's true. And I also, like we were talking about previously, with the shrinking of technology and the closing of the gap between what's accessible to the, and I will say like the everyday person, simply because usually the everyday person doesn't have $100 million bankroll or $20 million bankroll, right?
Yeah.
I think if they did, they wouldn't be necessarily the everyday person. But when you shrink down those gaps, the thing that will allow filmmakers, YouTubers, anyone who wants to pick up a camera and tell a story to be successful, it will come down to the thing that movies started with. And it's the thing that's been the lifeblood of them forever, which is creativity and story. And at the end of the day, right, a pencil costs, what, a penny? And a stack of paper costs a couple bucks. And the story that's on that paper, that's the thing that should be the most important part of the entire process. And that's something that's accessible to everyone. And I think that we might see a rotation back to something like that, as opposed to, I don't know anyone that, generally works in the halls of Hollywood, just using, mass basically appropriation of information and trying to, channel it into a navigable argument or a conclusion. So I think we might get back to even more creative stories than necessarily reboots and remakes and sequels and
that would be amazing, because I mean, there's some things that should not be touched. Like some trilogies, some books, some TV shows, like they were great. Don't touch them. They were perfect as is. Don't mess it up. And it's funny you're saying that, and I said this recently on a podcast. I mean, this, of course, I said it on a podcast. It was my podcast, but I can't remember who I was talking to. But I was like, I can't imagine the amount of fantastic artwork, stories, movies, book concepts, you name it, that are just sitting in people's homes. Whether it's on a shelf in a notebook laying next to some teenager's bedside right now, just waiting for one day to get a light shined on it. And it really made me think about it, like somewhere out there, the next big movie is just sitting on a shelf.
Yes.
It may never see the light of day. It may never get made, but it's there.
I'm holding up a metaphorical spotlight and shining over to my desk, and there's a pile of scripts. They could all be great. I just need that one brave financier with a very large bank account.
Exactly my point, And it was, it's another thing I said recently. I'm like, you never know who you live next door to. Like, I talk to a lot of independent, comic book artists, and I'm like, do your neighbors know you write comic books? Do people know what you do in your spare time, in your free time? And he's like, probably not. So it's like, it's wild that, the person next door to you, like, do your neighbors know that you just shot a movie in your garage?
Yeah, they do. The doors were open. We had lights, and we had to get also, in order to qualify for a filming permit, you have to get the surrounding neighbors to sign releases, and basically got to turn that into the city. So they all know, and they are all super supportive. I think we had one neighbor text Erin recently, and it was about a dog that was loose in the neighborhood, and we had found to get home, like the whole neighbor thread. And the neighbor texts back. He's like, oh, is this dog for a movie? Is there a part for me in it? Like, can I be an extra? Can I jump over? Like, and Erin came back with some quippy response that was great. But generally speaking, everyone is super supportive, especially here in Atlanta. Hollywood was a mixed bag because they're so exposed to it, and it happens all the time. It's usually more of a handout situation because usually it's a big studio shutting down a street. And there's a known thing in Hollywood. I forget what the name of it was, but this was especially prevalent in the 90s and early 2000s and 80s and 70s. But basically, if a big production came to town and you saw the big grip truck, neighbors would get out of their house, set up lawn chairs on their front lawn, and sit out and basically be active on the street and in the shots, which then forced production to come up and say, hey, we're shooting on this street. We really need, like, you can't just be sitting here drinking an iced tea. You're in the shot. They'd be like, absolutely, I'm happy to go inside. I'll take some money. And of course they'd pay the money and that would be it.
Yeah, no, I mean, a dollar's a dollar at the end of the day, right? You make it how you can. Oh,
I'm pretty sure. Yeah. And they got probably a couple $100 placed there. And Hollywood has so much money to throw around. It's, it's crazy. I mean, and now the cost of some of these movies at like upwards of $200 million. I'm like, I'm looking at like my budget breakdowns, even for my more like a couple movies that we're working on in the background, and they're, in the 7 figures, and like nowhere close to like I don't even know how many figures that is. What is 9 figures for 100 million plus? And I'm thinking like, I mean, I guess if you hired The Rock, Brad Pitt, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and like, you spent $100 million on actor fees, I could see you getting to 200 million. I'm not sure how they get there, but I would love to see behind, the door and see exactly what that paperwork looks like for that line budget. I think it'd be very interesting.
A line by line. Yeah, that would be very interesting. Because I'm not sure if every dollar makes it to where it's supposed to make it to, but hey, that's neither here nor there. And
it's just like government, right? It's the leaky bucket until there's so many holes, and there's the bucket's just a cylindrical vessel for the water to travel in an immediate downstream.
Yeah, exactly. But Kyle, I know you're a busy man, but let's wrap this up. And why don't you let everybody know where they can find Autonomous and where they can find you and Erin at online?
Absolutely. So everyone can find Autonomous on the Screamify app. It's available on iOS, Android, basically anywhere you get your apps. You can find the Screamify app. It's a fantastic resource, even apart from the micro budgets that they have, micro verticals that they have. They've got a host of other content, including ZombieCon. So if you haven't seen ZombieCon yet and you want to check it out, if you sign up with them, you'll get access to that movie as well. But fantastic folks. So if you support indie filmmakers and you love horror, it's a perfect home for you. In terms of finding Erin and myself, the easiest place is at ZombieCon Movie. Basically everywhere. That's been our handle for so long, as like kind of our company handle. We use it for everything now. Of course, you can find us personally at, so I don't even know what our personal Instagrams are, but if you go through ZombieCon Movie, or you'll find us somewhere. But that's the cheap one.
I think it's all linked below.
Yeah, and Erin's usually the one who does this. Like I'm covering right now, so like I'm a fish out of water explaining all the ads and where we're at. But in closing, I just wanted to thank you, Chairman, for having us.
Thank y'all for giving me another shot to talk to y'all, and it's always fun to have you on. Even if we continue to do this every 6 months, that would be a pleasure, because it's always fun to talk to you. I think I told y'all last time, having y'all on is just like reconnecting with two old friends, and it just feels like we pick up where we left off from the last conversation, and it just keeps moving forward. And it's always fun to get to talk to people that way.
I feel exactly the same. And yeah, absolutely. Let's pick it up in 6 months. I'm sure we'll have something new and interesting that's going on and probably causing me to go gray at a perpetually faster rate than I should be. But
I know how you feel, buddy.
It looks good on you. And
hey, I appreciate it.
Oh man, hopefully I just don't pull my hair out. That's the one thing I'm like, as long as it just goes gray, that's fine.
Dude, I'm with
absolutely. You. Let's get it together. And I just have one more thing. I totally forgot about this earlier when we were talking about Poor Man's Process. I wanted to give a big shout out to drivingfootage.com, who provided our plates for the autonomous. They gave us a huge discount, and they just asked that we let all the indie filmmakers out there know that they're willing to work with budgets. These things are notoriously expensive. Yeah. I was shocked when I saw how expensive they were, actually. And the folks over there are really fantastic, and they'll work with you if you've got budgetary restrictions, and they've got a super high.
If you got their link, if you want to shoot me their link, I will include it down into the descriptions again when I well, I'm not going to re-upload, but I will update the description later with the actual topics that we did cover, and also go back and put in chapters and stuff like that. So if you want to shoot me that link, when you shoot me that other stuff that we were talking about earlier, I will make sure that makes it in there. And who knows,
Yeah, absolutely. I'll definitely send it over. And I have one small request for the chairman himself. When you are going through the chapter titles, when you get to the point that Erin and I we're taking over the stream, if we could have a cool title for that. I don't know, whatever your creativity.
Oh, 100%. And I always deliver on the cool stuff, like the cool intros, the cool intros. I will make it definitely worth it. Yeah, because
awesome.
I try not to do that kind of stuff, but it seems like it never fails. Like the cat will get. I hear my cat coughing up a hairball. I'm like, okay, let me go check on the cat to make sure he's not, dying in his own hairball.
Yeah. Well, we love our pets too, and that's definitely a very, very valid reason to take care of something.
But that's it. I'm gonna bring it home for y'all. And Kyle, Erin, both of you, thank y'all so much again for joining us. And just anytime I get a message from y'all, I'm like, I don't even care what it is anymore. It's just like, yep, let's do it. You don't know what we're talking about. I'm like, I don't care. Let's do it.
We really appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Dude, same. Anytime y'all are ready to come back, even if it's just to, sit around for 30 or 45 minutes and just bullshit about stuff, hit me up. We'll do it, But again,
sounds good to me.
Thank y'all so much for joining us. Independent creators are constantly finding new ways to tell stories, and autonomous represents exactly the kind of innovation that keeps creative industries moving forward. Whether it's comics, film, games, emerging formats, it all comes back to passionate creators willing to take risks to build something original. The Council, if you've enjoyed tonight's discussion, be sure to support Kyle and Erin, Big Squid, Anonymous, and Screamify. Shout out to Screamify for bringing out just this phenomenal concept of to tell a story. And until next time, ladies and gentlemen, this has been the USDN Podcast, where indie comics and film come to life. The Council is now adjourned. Y'all be safe out there.
It's a trap!